everybody, and welcome to the Circular Edit, where we deep dive into stories of sustainability, design, and system change. I'm your host, Aislesha, and today we are joined by Hanqi Tang, who is a circular economy practitioner herself. Hello, Hanqi. How are you doing?
Ah, really, really nice.
So, today's episode is titled East Meets West Circularity Through a Global Lens. A little about today's episode. In an increasingly interconnected world, circularity cannot be one size fits all. In this episode, Hanshi shares her journey of navigating sustainability across two vastly different contexts, China and the United Kingdoms. Through lived experience, academic exploration, and cultural translation, Hanshi offers a fresh perspective on why circularity must be both systematic and sensitive to local values. We explore how cultural knowledge, policy gaps, and education systems shape the way circularity is understood and practiced, and how global students like Hanshi play a key role in bridging these perspectives. So let's jump right into it. Starting with segment one, a cross cultural lens. How has your personal and cultural background shaped your understanding of circularity and sustainability?
Mm-hmm. So, well, growing up in China, circularity was just part of every life, even though we didn't call it that. And my mom reused the glass jars, mended clothes, and we have a roof garden, made from a lot of recycled waste materials. It was, it wasn't seen as sustainability, but it was just common sense. And later, when I studied in UK, I realized how differently sustainability is framed. Um, it's more public policy driven and with the formal framework and the certifications. That contrast really made me reflect how culture shapes the our understanding of what's considered circular is.
Right. I get that. Yeah. I think I agree
Mhm.
with it. I think we fall under the same region and area because of which we do have some shared experiences. I do think it's incorporated in our everyday life. And in UK, it was more policy based compared to what we face or what we have been doing since generations and ages.
Mhm.
Moving to the next question, as someone who's lived and studied in both China and UK, what are some noticeable differences in how each country approaches waste, reuse, and resource cycles?
Well, in China, the approach is often informal, but deeply rooted in habits in like collecting recyclables or composting rural areas. But in UK, the system are more structured, and for example, the recycling bins everywhere. Also, they have some awareness campaigns, even sustainability education in schools is very good. But sometimes it's still more like this, like a system you participate in rather than something embedded in daily life. That's my own, I don't know, my own understanding or experience. But in contrast, in China, circular behaviors often come from the tradition or
Hmm.
the necessity, in the daily life. So even without a formal system in place. Yeah.
Right. I think systematic circularity in UK is more policy backed than in like China or India. I think it's more
Mm-hmm.
bottom up rooted with informal economies, which is driven, I think, more based on necessity than a law, like a legal law,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah.
let's move to the next question. In your
Mhm.
view, what's one common misconception people have when they talk about global circularity?
For me, it's circular economy is more like a mindset. It's not a it's even a blueprint. Um, so a lot of people they have like some misunderstanding about circular economy. They think that is a one model can work everywhere. In UK, you can use this model, and in China, you also can use this model, but it's not. It's more like a mindset. Um,
Hmm.
so the cultural economy and the social context matter, and we can't, we can't just copy and paste the framework. They have to be really adapted into the local areas and or better yet, maybe
Hmm.
co-created with the local stakeholders. So there's yeah, that's my own understanding of it.
Yeah, I agree that people do assume that circularity is very universal when it's actually very contextual. One example which pops up in my head is they did try incorporating the whole Western style recycling bin systems in some really small areas in India, like the slum areas in India. And it didn't work because the infrastructure
Mm.
is different, the education is different. Whereas if you have like a normal sector waste picker in that area, he will get the job done. In
Mm-hmm.
particularly, he would finish it off. And I think this pointer really highlights the gap in understanding localized system. It's different every place. You need to create according to the area, not just, as you said, copy paste it. That's not
Mm-hmm.
gonna work.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Did you notice any practices in China that felt inherently circular, even if they weren't labeled as such?
Mm, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of street recyclers and the cleaner. They really play a major role in the waste sorting, and though they are often overlooked, also in a lot of rural area in China, the people compost the kitchen scraps or reuse the materials out of necessities. And my grandma used to dry, dry the how to say that the loofah top. So it's kind of vegetables, and there's some how to say that some roots on that vegetables, and she used that to clean the greasy pans. So this kind
Oh,
of
that's
yeah, and this kind of like really really basic and intuitive practices. Just um, but there is really like inherently circular, and even if they are unrecognized in policy. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from with this point as well. Circularity is often invisible when it's embedded in your daily life, and something that is innovation in the West is more like a tradition in the East. And I had read about this Feng Shui principle, which is it's
Mhm.
a Chinese principle, or I think they do follow it. I think it's something I don't really know what it is exactly, but in architecture, it encourages reuse of materials and products for longevity of the structures, which I think it's something which is going on since generations, and you follow it in your day-to-day life now, which does speak a lot about inherent circularity, which I think you will only see in the East. You they see it, and you're in my home. Okay, let's move to the next segment. That is segment two:
Mhm.
education, identity, and systems.
Mhm.
Since joining GSA, how has your understanding of circular design evolved and changed?
So GSA, Glasuhovar introduced me to to the systems thinking, and also made me realize how uh, the circularity extends beyond the object. Really it's really about the infrastructure, the behaviors, and the people. Um, my thesis project is about using
Mhm.
the waste bread to grow the mycelium, and that
Mhm.
is, I think, really captured that shift. So it wasn't just
Mhm.
a material experimentation, but it also like I also want to designing a service loop, so from the household bread waste to the local community garden, and then they can grow and generate and produce the sustainable materials. So it's kind of really a system, and yeah, it's kind of a shift.
Yeah, I think it's no more just a word for us. It's become a design philosophy. We've incorporated it in every stage of our design, and um,
Mhm.
I think that makes GSA. It gives a brownie point because I think in Indian institutes, um, as of now, I think we do have old material practices like bamboo construction or cow dung insulation, but it's not really incorporated in our education system yet compared to what was there in GSA, which I think is very interesting. And it did like open up a lot of opportunities and doors and new ways we could see circularity through. Do you
Mm-hmm.
feel the current design education frameworks reflect the realities of non-Western countries? What's missing?
Not fully. My old understanding of the uh, designing in UK, the designing education from UK. So there are a lot of designing tools, and the case studies are really how to say Eurocentric. So it's
Eurocentric.
um
I agree.
yeah. So when I try to applying the user journey mapping to my project in China, when I doing my portfolios, and I have to adapt it because the local systems are really in China are really informal, so they are more
Mm,
community driven, and it's a real need to really include the global south perspective and the
mm,
how to say uh, the culturally specific um, culturally specific design intelligence really need to include this and that in our education.
I do think as well that it's heavily Eurocentric as of now, the whole design education framework in UK. I think
Mm-hmm.
it does revolve around a lot of high tech tools and structured infrastructure and consumer based economies. And I think what we need is a curriculum where we listen before designing and we're not just solving problems, we do understand the area, or we have more of a holistic approach. Let's move to the next question. Can you tell us
Mm-hmm.
about a moment or project where navigating between these two cultures became a strength rather than a challenge?
Yeah, I will talk more specifically more about my thesis project. So also,
Mhm.
yeah, I mentioned that before. So it's really
Mhm.
brought the both work together. So I drew from the Chinese idea of sharing food waste in the neighborhood, and also combine it with the UK's community garden culture. It's
Mm.
mm, really a new concept for me. And but technologically, I use the app interfaces. You know, uh, the app we designed, but the heart of it was human connection to I want to make the people part of the material life cycle. So that
Mm.
is project kind of combine two cultures together and make that become a stream.
Yeah, I think it's a very good combination. British modularity with Chinese efficiency. I think it translates value and not just aesthetic, which is the best part. I think
Mm-hmm.
some of the projects came out really well and they did try to like incorporate and fuse both the sides. Okay, next
Okay.
question. What do you think it means to design not just within technical systems, but within cultural and emotional ones as well?
So in the design within the cultural and emotional system, so uh, it means we need to acknowledging that people just don't just use the things they have a relation they relate to them. So for example,
Mm,
last year, I think you can remember that we have a summer show, and when I ran a natural dyeing workshop
mm,
using the awning things, so um, so in that workshop, the children, well, in my perspective, they weren't just learning
mm,
a technique to, how to dyeing,
mm,
how to clean that or something like that. They were
mm,
not just learning a technique, they were forming a memory. So that
mm,
emotional connection really lead to a deeper and long-lasting behavior change. So maybe in the future, and they will think, there's maybe 2 years ago, I it's just like a memory, and it can bring a just more long-lasting. How to say that? Just not it's a behavior change than just teaching sustainability.
No, I think that's also again a very good example because it was not just about the technique, the whole onion peel thing you were doing on summer show. It was way beyond just the technique which you were trying to teach the viewers. I think it was about the whole mindset and how we could see beyond we could see onion peels beyond just onion peels. It had way more value um, than you just see on the surface. One more example I've written it down here. It's this Japanese concept called motainai. It's this sense of regret you have when you waste something. Now, this I think it's not just it has such a deeper meaning. It kind of like pushes you to reuse and respectfully consume, and it's not just like a emotional tag which they put on you. I think it's way beyond that. So I think we need to find these aspects and these concepts in our circular processes so that we move way beyond just technical systems and we try to inculcate these ideas emotionally into our consumers.
It's really like some Japanese, they are really focusing on how to recycling, and they have more deeply the
Mm,
that emotion just push them to change their behavior. So that is my understanding of
mm.
this concept. Yeah.
Segment 3, that is bridging cultures through design. What kind of partnerships or conversations do you think need to happen more between the East and the West in the context of sustainability?
Mm. Well, from the the sustainability design education perspective, we need more collaborative labs and also the student
Hmm.
exchange project, just like our winter school, something like that. So that
Hmm.
focus on the local and the place-based circularity, and Also, mm, for example, co-designing with the communities um from the both ends rather than just transferring the best practices. Um,
Mm,
maybe you would follow more inclusive innovation. So also, for
mm,
example, we can involving um, more, like some voices that are being overlooked, so they are underrepresented from the both regions. For example, I think, for example, from the by the represented voices, I mean, it's like some some rural populations, some small scale farmers, and the in how to say that indigenous groups. So this kind of
indigenous.
people, they
Yeah.
are, yeah, indigenous. So this kind of people, they are um they live in both West and East, and this kind of group
Mm,
often hold the valuable traditional and also ecological knowledges, and
mm,
they're really or they are directly impacted by unsustainable practices. So yeah, their perspectives are really um, are are rarely integrated
mm,
into the policy making. So we need to include them into our practices, and that
mm.
can lead to more context sensitive and the more resilient, yes, resilient circular solutions.
I agree. I think what you're trying to put forth is also that we need more reciprocal dialogue and not just extractive one. It's supposed to be two-way and not just one way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. As a global student, how do you see your role in influencing both your host and home countries?
So I will see myself as a translator. So bridging the ways of thinking. So I can carry the knowledges from my life in China and the system thinking from UK. So, but I
Mm,
don't want just adapt. I want to challenge and enrich the design framework so they can, so they um, reflect more diverse and the real world understanding of the circularity.
mm. I think um, as a international student, you're not just a visitor. As you said, I
Mm-hmm.
think you're the bridge, and your position gives you like a double vision. Um, one eye on tradition and the other eye on transition, which does act
Mm-hmm.
in your benefit when you move back to your home country.
Yeah.
Next question. How do you reconcile design education that is Eurocentric with the need for community-led and place-based approaches?
But it's more about waving the things from UK and also from China.
Mm,
So waving it together, and just the example I said before. But
mm,
I will explain more. So I took the STEAM, how to say that, in
mm,
the same theme education structure from the UK and use it to teach the Chinese kids the natural dyeing from the food waste
mm.
when I back to China. It's not rejecting one, maybe from things from China because that is tradition and because it is not um, mm, not advanced, but it's about to make it together.
Got it. Let's move to segment four, that is designing a shared future. Is there a culturally rooted circular practice from your home that you think deserves more global recognition?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of traditional Chinese medicine residues reuse is really fascinating. So um, we we find some herbs and some vegetables and some plants from the forest, and we cook it and make it the Chinese medicine. So it's really fascinating when we cook it after we, you know, drink that medicine. Then there's a lot of residues, there's a lot of waste. And we can also use it to like make a, for example, make a mosquito repellent bag.
One more example, which I read about, I don't know if it actually happens. Chinese red packet reuse movement. I think it happens around the Chinese New Year time when they
Yeah,
reuse the decor
yeah,
envelopes, which I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's very symbolic and practical. Would you want to talk about it a little? What is it about
Uh,
exactly?
yeah, that is a project which is from a Chinese designer. I think you mentioned that this example is what I saw before. So she just used that red envelope because in the New Year times we will use a lot of the envelope which is made from the paper, and
Hmm.
she used that to plant the flowers and make also do some material experiments. And after
Hmm.
that, well, I cannot remember what the exact outcome it is, but it's really reuse practices and just really catch my eyes because that is really a design example. I haven't think about that before. So yeah.
Next question. As you continue your journey, how do you plan to bring your global learning into local context, whether back in China or elsewhere?
Well, um, well, I want to integrate what I learned in GSA, um, especially the storytelling, and also the community engagement, into my future professional practices. And just for example, I plan to initiate a workshop at my company to inviting some local students in China and let them learn about the biomaterials and the circular design with this, and they can through some hands-on experience maybe um, they can weaving the biomaterials, they can do something to learn the background of the our circular practices. So
Hmm.
and also at the same time, I want to maybe more working on my storytelling skills and to let the not only just help our company better, you know, communicate to the world,
Hmm.
but also
Yeah.
my own storytelling um, to let more people to know how circular economy is, how they can
Hmm.
be in the system, and what is the difference some between in China and the UK and something like that. Yeah, so that is more like a journey. Yeah, just like you said before, it's more like a journey, and more I can give myself more challenges to level up.
I think that's a very good approach, what you're doing at the firm you're working as well. Um, it does bring, I think it does introduce this concept to the youngsters who could, who are willing to be a part of it from the very beginning, and it shows them the path that there is this path you can take as well, and if they're interested, of course. So I think that's a very good approach, what you're doing at your firm. Moving to the next question, if you had the
Mhm.
chance to redesign one part of the global circular economy system, policy, education, business model, what would you focus on and why?
Well, I would focus more on a business model because I believe that the true circularity won't scale unless it is economically viable and accessible. And so right now, in my company, we are developing a model that transforming the local agricultural waste, like I said before, the corn stalk from Shenzhen and also the another fruit waste. So we are transforming that the waste, transforming that kind of waste into a plant-based leather. And instead of treating waste as a disposal issue, so we treat it as a material resources with the market value. So I think this kind of model just for the local farmers and the local agricultural company and reduce the transport emissions and create the new opportunities. So, but what ex what makes me feel more exciting is the potential to build a place-based ecosystem. So, where the circularity isn't just an environmental principle, but it's the business strategy that mhm, that can that can be benefit both the people and the planet. So we can earn the money from it, and that will not hurt the planet from the simple words. Yes.
I have always believed that policy shapes behavior, but imagination shapes policy. So we do need, I agree, we do need business models and those initiatives like Amsterdam donut model, or in India as well. There's this India's lifestyle for environment initiative. We do need models where we give in and we get in return as well. That's how we'll push this idea forward. So today's final question, finally, what gives you hope about the future of circularity across borders?
Well, what gives me hope is seeing more and more young designers, researchers, just like you and me, and also the entrepreneurs around the world. So, especially from the very different cultural and economic background. So they're all starting to speak the same languages of circularity, but in their own ways. So maybe in the future, the circularity is not exported from one place to another, but um, we can co-create it across the region. So, but adapt to the local resources and the traditions and different values. So, so yeah, I think the circularity can truly cross the borders and not just a system, but just like I said before, it's kind of a mindset.
Yes, I agree. I think that would be my hope as well, that the younger generation sees circularity way beyond boundaries. It's way beyond those walls, way beyond those territories, and see the deeper value of it, so that we all unite under the same roof. And that's a wrap on today's journey across cultures, classrooms, and circularity. Thank you so much, Hanqi, for sharing your perspectives with such clarity, honesty, and depth. What I love about conversations like these is that it reminds us circular economy isn't just a system, it's a story we're all writing together. There is no single blueprint, no perfect export model, but when we make space for lived experiences like Hanqi's, we start to see what a truly inclusive and adaptive circular future might look like. Because the more voices we bring in, the better the circle becomes. So, thank you so much, Hanqi, for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me to this because it's really a conversation, not just um we talk about our understandings or something like that, but also I when I'm preparing for this, it's really kind of a learning, and also um I will see my positionality more clear, and I can in the future when I want to moving forward, it's really a kind of learning experience. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know there's a lot of time difference, but thank you for making time for us. Um, thanks for tuning in to Circular Edit. Wait up for the next episode. Until then, join the loop and stay curious.